Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And today's newsletter is about I chased her away, but I want her back. So I've got an email from a guy. He started out a pretty intense relationship. He says they met and basically were together for 3 weeks on end. And then he's in the military, and this girl was going in the military. He was thinking, I met my future soulmate, my future ex-wife, whatever, however you want to look at it. And then when she was away for her basic training, she said, oh, I'm going to go have some drinks with a guy friend tonight. And he says he basically lost it, got upset, spent 2 days just giving her a hard time about it. So it kind of seems like he left some information or some details out, because right after this, she basically, and then he apologized for all of his losing his shit, basically, and apologized. And then she says, I don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore. And so now they're broken up, and he's wondering, do I have a chance of getting this girl back? So there's some things that he's kind of ignoring that I want to point out. But again, it just seems like there's some details missing from his email. So I got a quote that I wrote, and then we'll go through his email. And the quote says, if you are in an exclusive monogamous relationship, it's not appropriate to go have drinks in the evening with a member of the opposite sex who you just met. Men and women who do this are either naive, looking to cheat, or they simply do not respect their relationship or significant other. So he says, hi, Coach. I'm new to your channel and work, and I'm both reading your book and watching your videos for the first time after I was dumped last week. A couple of days of self-reflection later, and it is now painfully obvious to me where I went wrong. I'm a soldier in the UK, and I met this girl working in the barracks stores. After 2 days of eye contact while getting my food, I walked up to her and gave her my number. She texted me an hour later saying she admired my confidence. The next night, we went on our first date, got a hotel, and slept together. She spent the next 3 weeks consecutively with me each day, sleeping at my place. She was coincidentally soon to leave for Royal Air Force basic training, so we made the most of our 3 weeks together. Before she left, she told me she wanted us to commit to each other and take things further. I accepted. So it's like 3 weeks of dating, and then, hey, let's be in a relationship. That's pretty quick. Not really enough time for her to emotionally bond with him. Usually takes about 2 months, about 6 to 7 weeks on average. I accepted, and we agreed that when she came home for Christmas break in 6 weeks' time, she would once again spend the entire time at my place. For the first 5 weeks of her being away, we spoke every night when she had time and talked about our plans for the future. Everything fit. We had the same goals and the same outlook in life. Man, he's really rushing through this thing pretty quick. I see a lot of guys in the military do this. Usually they get involved with situations like this with strippers or whatever. They get married after a whirlwind romance for a few weeks, and then they go get deployed, and then they find out their wife is sleeping with other dudes while she's away, and sometimes they leave them for other guys. It's like people put more thought into buying a car than they do the person that they choose to marry. So it's like, don't do this. Until one fateful day, she mentioned to me that the first night back from training, she was to see a guy friend for a drink. I had previously told her that I couldn't see her that night as I had my children from a previous marriage sleeping over. Instead of accepting her wishes and providing her with trust, I lost my shit and acted like a weak, insecure beta male, telling her she shouldn't be seeing other men alone. Well, it is true that she should not be going out. Now, we don't know if this is a guy she knows, he was actually a friend, or some dude she just met. But if you're in an exclusive relationship, if you're married, it's not appropriate for either one of you to be going out and having drinks with members of the opposite sex in the evening. That's kind of common sense. But he says, I felt threatened and vulnerable, and she asked me for space. After all that, after 2 months, well, mostly on the phone, because they spent 3 weeks together and then about 5-6 weeks apart, and I guess she came home, or maybe he went to see her. He doesn't really elaborate. She asked me for space, and I responded with a large groveling essay. 24 hours later, she responds telling me our relationship is over and that she deserves better than someone so possessive. Again, like a weak beta male, I begged for her forgiveness until she stopped responding. So there's probably a lot of over pursuing going on in there that he kind of left out, because the way he phrases it is just, oh, this one little thing, and then she ditched me. So we don't know about the other guy, but the fact that she supposedly wanted an exclusive relationship, and then all of a sudden she's like, I'm out of here, and she stops responding, it sounds a little suspect. He says, I struggle with mental health issues, and normally I am incredibly confident, but she caught me on 2 bad days when I reacted the way I did. The sudden change from planning our lives together to complete no contact has really stung. After starting your book and watching your videos, I know that I played all the wrong cards and gave all the power away. Yeah, so the reality is, if you look at her actions and you bottom line her actions, for her just to pull the plug like that, her interest was not that high to begin with. And he was probably doing all the pursuing or most of it. And then she probably felt he was a little possessive. And then she said, hey, I'm going to go have some drinks with a friend of mine. And then he lost it. And then that created a situation where, like, the whole relationship's over. Like I said, something sounds a little off. But more than likely, just like he realized that he did all the wrong things. So we have to assume, based on her actions, the fact that, because if she was in love with him, she's not going to dump him. She would have forgiven him and they would have got past it. But instead, she's like, well, that's it. I don't want to be in a relationship. Screw you. So she walked away because she wasn't feeling much for him. She didn't have any strong feelings. And maybe she already kind of had a hint that he was jealous, and that's why she made plans to go hang out with a guy friend and have some drinks, because she knew that he'd get upset about it. And then she could use, because women will do that. To break up with you, they'll create a big fight. They'll make a mountain out of a molehill. And they'll use that as the justification in the relationship. But the relationship was already over. And if I was a betting man, I'd say the relationship was over. And she was looking for a reason to ditch him. And then the thing with the guy, because then she can blame it all on him. It's all his fault. And then obviously he's going to feel terrible about thinking it was that one thing. But obviously it sounds like after he read 3% Man, my first book, that he recognized that he completely turned her off. And so that was the excuse she used. My question is, do I now just leave her alone or explain to her that I was having a rough time and apologize? Well, if you look at her actions, it's like her actions are the actions of a woman who doesn't give a shit about you. Her interest wasn't that high. And you already apologized. You said yourself you wrote a long groveling letter. Did that work? Nope. And you kept chasing her until she stopped responding, until she ignored you. And basically, you got ghosted. You don't chase after somebody that ghosts you. You said what you said, and it's up to her to fix it. She's got to earn another chance with you, not the other way around. It's the way you need to be looking at it. I mean, you chased this girl away to the point where she ghosted you. So to keep chasing her or reaching out to her is counterproductive. So in this case, I would do nothing. He says, my last message to her was a weak apology. So my last message to her was a weak apology. And he's asking, do I reach out again and apologize? It's like, how many times are you going to apologize? You've apologized several times and you got ghosted. There's nothing else to do. He says, I'm in 1 week of no contact, though I am now doing the right thing. I'm worried it is too late. I would have to, if I were you, I would assume it's too late and you're probably never going to hear from her again. But if you do, assume she wants to see you, make a date, hang out, have fun, hook up. Don't focus on the relationship. Don't focus on getting back together. Have more of a skeptical, let's wait and see, let's take things slowly. But like I said, who is the guy? Is it a dude she just met? Is it somebody she's known her whole life? Maybe somebody she grew up with? I mean, there can be extenuating circumstances. But typically in these situations, the guy friend is some dude that she just met who wants to get in her pants. And she's lining up to replace him. Oh, you don't have to worry about him. He's just a friend. Those are the ones you do have to worry about. In other words, women, well, hey, I told you about him. But it just kind of happened. I don't know. We were just out having drinks together and he just kissed me and it just kind of happened. That's what you'll get. So the other thing to consider is if it was a dude she just met, barely knew, was going to have drinks, then she's lining up a replacement while she's on a date with you. And that's not good for her level of integrity. So you got to take your time with these things. You don't want to be in a rush. And I see this a lot with the guys in the military. For whatever reason, they're in a rush to lock somebody down. They're in a rush to get a ring on a girl's finger. Even if they're not even divorced with the previous girl, they're in a rush, in a mad dash to get to the marriage altar. It's like, you got to slow down. Don't be in such a rush to commit to somebody. People can hide who they are for about 90 days. You spent 3 weeks with this girl in person, and then you spent about 5-6 weeks apart only talking digitally. So you don't really know her yet. You got the person that she wanted you to see. So if I were you, I'd be following what's in 7 Principles to Get an Ex Back. Wait to hear from her. Make dates when you do. Don't bring up the relationship. Don't bring up getting together, back together again, or any of that. Get her to do most of the talking, hang out, have fun, hook up, just like it says in 7 Principles to Get an Ex Back. So if you got a question or a challenge and you'd like to get my help, go to understandrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.